Hey everybody, welcome back to the 144th episode of Taps and Patience, that's 12 squared. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity. Hi Harrison.
How we doing?
I'm a little bit worn out from the Great Eastern Tour, but otherwise doing pretty well.
Oh, that's good. Other than the worn out part, but hopefully it was a fun trip.
It was a fun trip, and it could have been a lot more wearing out and stressful than it ended up being, so
Fair enough. So,
how has life been for you?
It's been really good. It was actually a really weird weekend because we got off for New Year's and we were off Thursday and Friday. So I had a 4-day weekend, which has not happened in a very, very long time. And I only went into the shop one time, and that was because someone was dropping off a pallet and I needed to bring it inside. So on Friday.
Yeah, business owners don't normally get 4-day weekends.
No, it was incredible. I was a complete bum around the house and did absolutely nothing and just soaked it in, and it was amazing. Nice. Except for like on Sunday, I had recuperated enough that I took care of some wife projects around the house. And so like, it was kind of funny because me and my wife both talked about it a little bit because because I'm so go for the shop that it's really hard to have motivation to do stuff around the house. After I've basically been giving everything I can to the shop, and then I get home and it's like, I don't want to do anything. So yeah, it was nice to have a little bit of motivation to actually work on the house some around here a little bit. So that was nice.
Yep. I still have some things in that category. I need to get gutters. It's finally nice out because I was planning on cleaning the gutters right after that last big job I had in November. I shipped it like the end of November, 1st of December, something like that. And I was like, okay, I'll get the gutters right after that's done. And then immediately, during that job, before the job was over, we got snow. And that snow stayed on everywhere until we left on our trip.
Yeah.
And then now it's finally melted. So now's my chance before it snows on me again.
Yep. So, no, it's been good. We're still pretty well busy through January, but we're not stressed out right now. At least not on anything that we can do anything about at the moment. We still have some like stressful jobs, but we're waiting on stuff to come in. And so like if I were to stay and work late hours, I wouldn't really gain very much right now. So in a way it's kind of feels like a slowdown, even though this is more like a normal pace.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But yeah, no, it was a great end of the year, and we ended the year strong. So
yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted here by looking at a RFQ I had come in. For me, I believe 2025 was a record income year for me. And that came from a number of different sources between teaching. There was a little bit of the Fusion training income at the beginning of the year. I had Audacity Micro. I had Subtract. I didn't really make money off Taps and Patience, but that's okay. And all of those things combined into, I think, what was my highest income year ever. So that was nice.
That is very nice. Well, I guess this is the podcast where we kind of talk about kind of our plans for like how this year ended and what our plans are for next year. So, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from last year? Like, what is the biggest plus and the biggest minus?
When you say biggest plus, you mean like
it could be anything. It was what is the biggest lesson learned from last year that we can apply to this year, and what was the biggest negative learned from last year that can apply to this year?
The biggest thing that went wrong last year was that production job that was kind of towards the beginning of the year. where I just wasted a ton of time on it and didn't make any money on it, basically. That really changed the way that I was considering jobs and how I was quoting, and like just when I was taking more Xometry work there, what kind of Xometry work I took. That job just about did me in, and really probably shifted a whole lot of things going forwards, because that job was so awful. Then you get to like this, I don't know, I had a couple really good jobs right at the end of the year for like that part that was the titanium kind of button shape. That job went super smoothly and was super profitable. I did those parts that look like watch parts for that company that shall not be named, but sounds like Edda. The Subtract, I think, was probably my biggest lesson learned, where Subtract is really the first company that I've kind of started everything right from the beginning. And that's starting to bear fruit. I don't remember what I've said. I've probably said, I don't think I've said this, and then I have said it like 4 times on this podcast. But we did more revenue, subtracted more revenue in December than the rest of the year combined. So that was kind of cool. And it sounds like we have some more work coming in theoretically January. So which is now. That's kind of cool. If we can keep the levels of sales that we're at now, it gives us a lot of cash to play with in terms of marketing and sales, and it'll all just kind of snowball. And that's really kind of what started to happen, is we started to figure out sales and marketing, and it's been, snowballing a little bit. So as long as we keep up that level, we'll be growing, I think, pretty quick in 2026.
Yeah.
So start a business right. I guess that was my takeaway.
Do
the business the right way.
Well, if anyone's going to figure that out, it's going to be the man who started 37 different companies.
It only took me, we'll have to ask Jamie exactly how many times, but I think we're up to 26 now. So it only took me 26 attempts to get it right.
Hey, practice makes perfect.
Yeah. We do have our new social media and sales guy starting soon. Like, he was busy with Christmas stuff and I was gone a bunch. So after hiring him, we didn't really do anything until tomorrow. So he'll be running our social medias starting tomorrow. Once he gets that under his belt, I want to move him into doing more sales.
Gotcha.
And I think that might be the big thing going forward. Like, if we can have someone who can, be really good about following up with customers and, quickly answering questions and, going back and poking customers that we made parts for 3 months ago. Those are the kind of things that I'm not particularly good at and would love to outsource to somebody else.
Yep.
So I have high hopes for, his name's Pablo. I have high hopes for Pablo.
Good deal.
What about you? Sorry, I got kind of rambly there.
Nope, no, you're good. I asked the question and I didn't have an answer for my own question, so you're okay. I would say the biggest high has probably been adding Ben for us.
Okay.
It takes a lot to get someone new trained into the shop, but he's not there yet, but he is starting to get to the point where, we can just give him tasks and it just runs in the background. And, the truest form of automation where, designate to someone else and then they do it. And so, no, it's been really awesome to have someone else in the shop to kind of help balance that load, and that we can, on the fly, we can adjust what he's doing to kind of fit the need of the shop. It could be setting up a machine. It could be programming a part. It could be tearing a machine down. It could be running passivation. It could be cleaning out a machine. He's really starting to kind of get a good feel for all the different elements of the shop. And it's real quick and easy to be like, okay, hey, do this over here, do this over here. And then, something else come up. So switch from this task to this task. and so that has been really nice because he can kind of work around us to keep us going on at a decent pace. So yeah, so between him and well, he would definitely be the highest point probably of last year. Which I mean, kind of goes into that whole robot automation versus an employee debate, which we can get into at some point if we want. But the robot has its place, but it can only help me with one thing, where an employee can help me with many things. So, including keeping the robot running, so I don't have to. So that's another area he can help with. But yeah, no. So that's my high point. My low point, I feel like our shops margins are lower than most shops, even though we do really good work. And so for the amount of effort we're putting in versus the margins we get out, especially compared to like your margins. But it also is a little bit different because our parts aren't as small, and so like there is some difference there, and we're getting into more high volume, which typically has lower margins because they make up for it in bulk. But even our onesie twosie stuff, I feel like our margins could be a little bit thicker. And I've said that for a long time, and then nothing has changed too much. And so to kind of tandem that, we need to become a little bit more efficient at different things. And some of that kind of plays into Ben because things are taking longer because he doesn't know how to do everything efficiently yet. And so and some of that comes to us having a lot of that shop knowledge and transferring it over to him. And so there's been, a lot of bumps and hurdles with that. And thankfully, having him around allows us to kind of bounce ideas off of him to kind of get that information from us to him and document it so the next person doesn't have that same struggle.
I don't know if your margins are actually that bad industry wide. Like my margins this year were outrageous because that was a like very deliberate and intentional choice that I made at the cost of basically all growth and a lot of, convenience maybe would be the other word there. Like this year I was entirely in profit mode. Your business can really only be in profit mode or growth mode. And I guess you can strike a balance in between. You have been in growth mode forever.
Yes.
And you're like, the amount of revenue you do is, I don't know, 10, 20 times what I do, but maybe not quite 20, closer to 10 times, I think. But this year, like, I bought almost nothing besides end mills and materials. Like, I finally bought, I think it was 16 tool holders kind of towards the end of the year, but I had been running off of the original 16 that came out with my mill. Like, I bought, maybe 2 dozen collets throughout the year. Like, no new machines, no new major equipment.
Yeah.
My overhead is basically nothing because I'm in this pole barn in my backyard. Like, I was like, okay, this year I just need the profit. Like, I don't need to grow. I just need money. And, even like when I did take a Xometry job, everything I took did not require me to buy materials. I don't know if I bought materials for Xometry at all this year, actually.
Oh, well.
Yeah, because like, I had stuff on hand. If you get to choose the job, you just choose one you have materials for. So I was very much just in profit mode, basically so that it could fund subtract and to, kind of get me caught up from a couple years of a lower income. But yeah. I think if I had much more business, like if I doubled my business, my top line revenue, my profit percentage would have plummeted because, Audacity really did not do all that much in revenue this year because I was doing so many different things. And because of that, I was able to be super choosy.
That's true. Yeah, we just to throw a number at it, we bought over $500,000 worth of equipment this year alone. So
yeah,
that's a lot of growth to swallow on a company who's historically trended less than $250,000 a year. So that was a lot of growth this year.
And that's like 5 times what I did in revenue. So at
So I
least
mean
for Audacity.
that's a lot of growth in a very short period of time. And Weston actually said the other day, he said, I don't want to say anything because he's scared. But we're actually starting to build up a little bit of a cash buffer. Seems how we've stopped buying things for a split second. So
yeah, you guys like really should consider just doing a profit year as much as you can. If your customers will allow it, like just keep the equipment you have, build up some cash buffer, pay off some machines.
We're gonna have to do that just because of the addition to the shop. So
yeah, fair.
So like we're kind of planning on not buying anything for a year, as it within reason. If we get the addition done in 6 months and there's an opportunity to buy another machine, we might buy one. But we're trying to not as much as possible, because if we keep buying stuff at the rate we've been buying, one, we're just not going to have any cash reserve. So if something does happen with the economy or with our business, we won't have much of a buffer, and that's not good. And two, we need to start saving for our next building jump because it's going to be a lot more expensive than this one was. So we need to start putting money aside for that because I can already tell this building is not going to last us very long at our rate of growth. And so we need to start putting money aside for that.
I will say, I think every shop I visited on my great Northeast tour was a lot more densely packed than your shop.
Yeah. I mean, our shop is a weird size where if it could be narrower and it wouldn't matter. But I feel like it needs to be just a little bit wider for us to have that third row. Because if you put machines in the middle, it'd be really tight. And so you'd have to do some weird stacking to be more efficient. But at that point, you'd have all these weird walkways, and your walking efficiency would drop dramatically.
Yeah, I think the Cerven guys, I don't remember the exact square footage they said, maybe 3,000 square feet. And it was divided in two. And one side was their like inspection, shipping, and they also had like their chip storage in there and a few other things. And then the other side, they had 3 5-axis robo drills, and they got their new, I'm blanking on the model, but I think it was a Matsuura 5-axis pallet pool. And at least and their Neo, and their 2 air compressors, and they have 1 robot on one of the robos.
Nice.
And that's in like 1,500 square feet.
Well, if it's 3,000, that's basically the same size
divided by 2.
Yeah, but that's basically the same size as ours if you add in the office space.
Yeah.
So we're not too much larger than that. And so you got 3 robo drills, the Matsuura, and a Neo. That's 5 machines. That's about what we have. I mean, they have smaller machines and then a larger machine, and all of ours are kind of medium sized. So, and we do have 2 air compressors now.
That's true. This might be a painful request, but could you remove the offices to put more machines in?
I wouldn't want to.
Okay.
But in theory,
that's what Cerven did. Or Cerven. I should say their name right.
I mean, we're planning on doing an addition, so I don't know why I would tear down the offices.
Fair. I don't know. I'm just spitballing wild ideas here.
We're already planning an addition.
Yeah.
And the problem is that if I was to get rid of any office space, my office would probably be the only office space that we could reclaim. And it is literally an L shape of the inspection room. And so the only thing we could do is expand the inspection room into my office space.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't gain me very much on the shop floor space.
Okay, fair.
Because Weston uses his office, and it's nice to have a break room. So, what you looking at?
I'm thinking about tearing down this office space. I don't need the extra room, but I'm looking at this going, oh yeah, I could do that.
Oh. But I thought you were done getting machines.
I don't need anything immediately, but I don't know. No, I'm not a huge fan of this office space, but also I don't need more space in the shop right now. So
Are your two spaces air conditioned any differently, or are they the same?
no, there is just one mini split out there in the shop area. In the winter, in the winter I have a space heater in here, and in the summer I have a small window AC unit.
Okay.
It doesn't really need either of those, especially if I put a fan in the door, but it's nice little supplemental. Gotcha. And I can run this by itself without running out there if I need to.
Our shop gets really hot even in the winter. Like we've had to open the garage door when it's really cold out just because we're generating so much heat. So that is the thing. Whenever you get a lot of machines all running at the same time, like 5 machines, it generates a lot of heat that I did not have a healthy appreciation for.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Do you want to do just kind of a general summary of what happened in your year?
Yeah, I can do that.
Like machine purchases and major milestones and
yeah. So this year started off with us getting a UMC, or last year started off with us getting the UMC, because we got that large Magwell order. And so that machine got installed in January of last year, I want to say. We ordered it right before the year ended, and it came in beginning of last year. Yeah, because we had to run everything on the VF until it showed up, and that was putting us behind. So yeah, we had to do that. And then everything was pretty quiet for the most of the year, or most of the first half of the year. After that, about the halfway point, we got the CMM, and then not long after that, I would say probably around, what was it, September, we placed the order for the lathe, and then end of September, beginning of October, we ordered the robot. Something like that. So nice. We got the UMC 500, the CMM, the Doosan lathe, Lynx lathe with a bar feeder, and a robot. So 4 new pieces of equipment, and the air compressor, the second air compressor as well. From a financial perspective, we were planning on growing about 75% of what we made last year, and we ended up doing closer to 150% of last year, of the year before. So 2024
to 2025. So you saw 150% growth?
Yes.
Okay. So not quite doubling.
Not quite doubling, but we were only planning on growing by about 75%. So we doubled what we were expecting, but we didn't quite double what we did in 2024. So,
okay.
Which was incredible. And a lot of that is because of the Magwell job.
Yeah.
Just because it was running constantly in the background, it was a constant cash flow. And that really was really nice, which is going to put a little bit of a burden on next year, because we were expecting the same order and they're lowering the amount that they want next year, at least preemptively. But there's a lot of new opportunities with both the medical and other components for the gun industry that could fix that. It could fill that void. So
yeah,
I have high hopes, but it's going to be, we're going to have to get that ball rolling. I will say, since we've gotten our dual spindle Y-axis lathe, orders have been flowing in for that machine. It seems like. And so it is now one of the most heavily utilized machines in our shop. And that happened really quick. So like, this is kind of what I was hoping would have happened when we got our lathe, the 2-axis one. There just wasn't a whole lot of work for it. But the new lathe with the live tooling and the sub spindle, a lot more work is coming in for that machine. So that's kind of exciting. It's kind of like getting a 3-axis machine and expecting there to be a lot of work and being kind of slow, and then getting a 5-axis machine and just get slammed. So
that doesn't actually surprise me too much with what I've seen for Subtract. We get very little just 2-axis lathe work, but a lot of Y-axis lathe work.
Yeah.
So that checks out.
Yeah. So I think as we grow, one machine I would like to see at some point, would be some sort of B-axis lathe. I think that would be with the type of parts that are out there, with what this lathe has showed us. I think having a B-axis lathe that you could use as they could go between 5-axis work and lathe work, because I've seen some guys that'll get a B-axis lathe and they'll put they'll have a way to put a normal like Lang vise in it and then just use it like a regular 5-axis, and then they can use it also for their lathe stuff. So I could see something like that being really beneficial.
Like full mill turn.
Yeah.
Subtract made a I don't remember what the receiving interface was, but it was a lathe adapter for a Lang plate so that you could mount Lang vices on a lathe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I could see something like that. Like, I don't know how long down the line that would be. We don't have the space for it because those machines are massive. But that would help justify a machine like that if I could have it go between 5-axis work and mill turn work. It could be pretty beneficial.
I suspect once you got it, you would never, like, you would just use it for mill turn work and leave your 5-axis for 5-axis stuff instead of trying to like convert your super highly productive machine between the two or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think it would be that hard to go between the two. And in the beginning, if it's not that complicated, if it's real easy to just throw 5-axis normal work on it, why not? Let me put it to you this way: it's a safety net where it can do more than one role unless the primary role gets big enough that that's all it needs.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm just saying, I think the primary role would be big enough.
Maybe. I don't have the demand for it right now, but I bet I could get the demand for it eventually.
Yeah.
So, but I always like having. I always like whenever I buy equipment, I always hope that I'll be able to dedicate it to a task, but I like it whenever I can adapt it for a wide range of things. So,
do you ever use your UMC in 3-axis mode?
I have a couple of times.
Okay.
So
I bet you do that just as much, but
yeah, but the difference there is that I literally had a job that was going to keep it busy for a year.
Yeah.
So like that is one of the very few machines that I have bought. That's probably the only machine that I literally bought it for one part. And so like all the other machines that I've done have I've adapted all sorts of stuff to them. But the UMC, it's been dedicated for a very long time to one part. That's starting to change a little bit with the robot. Like I'm starting to mix some other SKUs, but it's still higher volume runs, mostly in aluminum.
With the new Doosan lathe, didn't you buy that basically just for the medical parts?
The medical parts were the things that pushed it over the barrier, but we already had other parts that we were running. So the Lynx lathe, we were already running parts on the other lathe that were also going over to the mill side. And so we didn't have enough of that work to justify a dual spindle, but the medical parts just pushed it over the rim, over the edge to do it. So we've already run 3 different jobs through the Lynx and had 3 different configurations for it. And we're about to do another one. So it's not been just the medical, but the medical is probably 60% of the stuff we stick through it. So the medical is a big factor in it, but it is not the only factor. But what is really nice is once we get it set up and running, like there was we just did 1,000-piece run through it, and we did it in less than 2 weeks. And in the past, that would have taken us 3 to 4 weeks the old way.
Nice. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just ate through those parts like crazy. And what was awesome is we got we had the problem with the bar feeder a couple weeks ago, and we got that problem resolved. And then we had some work to do to get it reliable bar feeding without it building up chips on tools. And we were getting some general problems with high volume work where you want to walk away. But by the end of it, we had programmed it in such a way that it could run unattended for basically 8 hours. As many bars as you wanted to run through it while you were still there. Like Weston would start it up in the morning, we'd load up the bar feeder, and then when it was the last machine, we'd close off when we were done for the day. So, and it just spat out parts all day. And the only time it would stop is if a tool life limit was reached, and we'd have to go change out an insert or something and then send it on its way again.
That's pretty cool.
And that was an incredible feeling, like having that machine just running constantly. We're about to switch back over to medical for a short run. And then once we're done with those, I got a different medical part. It's a new one that we're going to be proving out.
On your UMC with the robot, have you run jobs other than that first one?
Yes. Okay. Very few, but yes. When we first got it, before we got it set up for production, I had a short run of maybe 10 parts that we did job shop on it, and it was phenomenal for those parts. It really was. It honestly makes a really good job shop 5-axis.
Mm-hmm.
Better than it does a production 5-axis, just because of how slow it is. But we did those, and then since we've got the robot on it, I've run 3 or 4 different jobs through it in an automated fashion. So, we actually set up. This was kind of cool. We had a job that we had done in the past, and it was a simple plate, but it had tapped holes all the way around the outside perimeter, and we've done it before manually on the VF, but we had like 30 pieces. And we set up the first op on the robot, and it just ran for like one day, just doing the first side of all those pieces. And then it was like a 2-minute op for the backside that we could do in a 3-axis manner. So it didn't matter which machine we threw it on. And so that was like awesome.
Yeah.
Because we've done that job several different times. And at that point, the VF 5-axis was just slammed with other job shop stuff. So being able to set up the robot and have it just pound it out over a day just was phenomenal. So that was a huge win for that robot. Just to be able to, with how quick and easy it was to set up.
Yep. Anything else happen this year? Ben happened.
Other
employee? You had like an intern or something?
Yeah, we had an intern for a little while. He was there for over the summer. And so he and Bim kind of traded time. So we had someone there for a full week, but Ben and the intern would kind of switch days they were on or off. And that was kind of a good contrast between the two. I'm really happy with Ben. I don't think I would have been as happy with the intern long term. And I'm not sure that's what he wanted to do either. So
yeah, that's what internships are for, is figuring out what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Yeah. So I think it worked out well. Anything else? I don't think we had to replace the spindle on the Doosan. So
whoa.
I think we went a year without doing that. Although
wow.
I think we got close. I think we did have something that happened. It was either it was either December of 24 or like the first week or two in January of 25. But I remember having a big scare I thought we were going to have to replace it, and that we didn't end up having to. So it did, I'm sure, shorten the life of that spindle a little bit, which is the one we're still running right now. But it didn't need to be replaced immediately. So
that's good.
But yeah, no, I have a love-hate relationship with that machine. And from what I hear from most people that have, like, at least in our area that have had them, they've replaced them. I don't think very many people have held on to them. So, speaking of which, it was kind of wild. I was looking at the torque curve on that machine, and at 12K, it maxes out at like 4 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, it's not much torque.
No. So, like, even running like aluminum at max RPM, it can't, it has like, it has no cojones at those speeds.
Yeah.
so like, I was running a 1/2 inch end mill in the Haas, and I'd hit like 60ish% at 12K. The same tool on the Doosan would hit like 150 to 200% spindle load, and I thought I was like, it scared the crap out of me, and I had to slow it way down because I was just like, this thing's gonna break. So yeah, it was not fun. But yeah, you gotta baby things on that machine, and that's not why we got it. So lessons learned. It's a good machine. I think there is a place for it, and that's why I really want to do gimbal on that machine someday. Like, it is a really good, like, large footprint gimbal automation with the 4th axis machine, like running smaller parts. It would be fantastic in that role. Big parts, no. I hate big parts on that machine. I get so stressed out.
Yeah.
And big parts means bigger, like something that fills a 6-inch vise or more.
Huge parts.
So, huge parts in your world, medium parts in most people's worlds. So, yeah. Anything else you can think of, either for your shop or mine?
Well, I haven't done like the whole year in review on mine yet, but
yeah, let's do the year in review on yours, and I'll see if there's anything else I missed.
So in terms of big purchases, basically nothing. I think I got some workbenches, and that was probably about it as I'm looking out there. Some metrology tools. I got some metrology tools. At the beginning of the year, I had that big production job that sucked. At the end of the year, I had kind of a good run of some really nice high margin jobs that went really well. I think in the middle, there were some that, like, a whole bunch of average stuff. In May, I think I started Subtract. That kind of grew out of our Patreon Discord, and hired Jacob to help me run that and get that stuff off the ground. A couple months later, we were able to launch our own little ERP software, or internal software, that we're currently calling SERP, even though Jacob hates that name. And as soon as we got that up and running, it became so much easier to run Subtract. So that's been pretty big. We brought on Josh to help us with social media, and then that ended up not being a great fit for us or for him, and he ended up going his own way. And then we just recently brought in Pablo, who hasn't really started yet. We'll leave that for the 2026. I did a bunch of teaching this year, both with the Department of Corrections, the DOC, and then also doing apprentice programs for some of the larger companies around, Caterpillar, General Motors, Allison Transmissions, and a few others. And those were, I don't know, those were good. A lot of those were a fairly short intensive class that kind of took up a whole bunch of time in a chunk. And that was actually another thing that drove me to Subtract. So it was like that big production job at the beginning that didn't go super well. Mm-hmm. And the those like short, intense bursts where I'm doing like 60 hours a week of teaching. They were like, they kind of got me moving on Subtract more. Because the whole point of Subtract is it's not 1-to-1 with my time. That was the main goal there. Towards the end of the year, I was able to get a lot more time and work invested back into the shop, into processes, doing some more kind of lean stuff. And my shop efficiency is way above where it's been at for a long time. I got the Aroa system put into the Tormach, which has been great. I recently kind of refurbished is way too strong of a word, but got a bunch of work done on the Haas to make that a little bit more fun to use. Ignore the fact that the spindle is still iffy. I'm trying to think. I don't think the compressor room was this year. I think that was last year. The saw was last year. The saw's been moved around about 4 times. Bought a Prius, sold a Prius. And then took this trip to the Northeast. I'm sure I'm probably missing some stuff in there, but
Did you hire Scott again this year for a little bit, or was he
Scott has done some freelance work for Subtract. He helped get our website off the ground. It's not like we get regular hours out of him though. I probably should find a freelance website guy that I can work with regularly. Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if we ever talked about this. I did try to get that like relationship started with a freelance guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave him I don't want to call it a practice project, a test project.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not get it done on his deadline. And so I told him, never mind. And I did not work with that guy. So I need to find another guy to do that with. Hopefully one who can work with us.
Yeah.
But I started using, this is going to sound like a small thing, but has actually been a pretty big change. I started using Obsidian for like my notes and processes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, as an organization tool, has been huge for me. It's like exactly the tool that I've always wanted. And we use it to run Subtract. I use it for Audacity and my teaching stuff and my personal stuff. So Obsidian has been huge. We moved to a real accounting system instead of my dad's old preferred method of receipts and boxes, which never worked very well for us. And that's made taxes and accounting a lot easier and just kind of general cash management much clearer. I stopped taking the Fusion training stuff that I was doing. I did that a bunch in 2024 and a little bit at the beginning of the year. I would still do that, but it doesn't work very well teaching because I kind of needed open availability for it. I think that's pretty much all I've got. It was a fairly smooth year for me. Like there was not a lot of high highs or low lows. There wasn't a lot of big investments or huge changes. This was kind of just a maintenance year.
Yeah. If you look at our finances on a graph of like over the year, and I had a plot of like our first year, second year, third year, and now this year. And you look at it on a graph, my first, second, and third years kind of have like peaks and valleys.
Mm-hmm.
And this last year, the biggest thing was it was more of a straight line.
Yeah. Which is nice.
Or a little bit, maybe even a little bit of a curve up towards the end, but that always happens end of year because one of my customers, that's when they dump all their parts. It's towards the end of the year. And so just having a steady graph has made all the difference in the world versus this bumpy mess of the first 3 years.
Yep.
So
I think we were probably both a lot less stressed this year.
In general, yeah. Yeah, I'd say the peak stressful moments were probably just as high as they've ever been. But in general, less often. Yeah. And I tend to always get stressed out at the end of the year because that's just whenever I get behind because I have that one customer that overloads us every year at the end of the year. And it always stresses me out because I try to hit their deadlines, even though no one else does, which is a whole nother topic of managing expectations. But we get stressed out trying to hit due dates that are unrealistic, and I think we're the only ones. And so every year I try to get a little less stressed about that. My personality is to stress, though. If it says due date of X, I try to hit it, and I will break my back trying to do it. But I just need to have an honest conversation with them and just be like, listen, like we can do this, best, try to hit by or something, but like if you know no one's going to hit that due date and you're not expecting us to hit that due date, then this is just stressing us out like for no reason. Yeah. And then what really like just ticks me off so much about them sometimes is that they'll have these parts that they really want done and on a time frame. This is my little rant, so don't mind me for a second. But they will have all these parts that have to go for a job, and then they'll send us like in the middle of all of that, they'll send us a whole nother list of parts that are restock parts that they don't actually need, but they'll set the due dates like on a very short timeline because they want to have them in before the end of the year. And it's like, are you like, what are you doing? Why am I? You don't need these parts right now. They're going to go into inventory. They're going to sit there for a year. Why are you putting the timelines so close together and overloading us with these parts and these parts? Like, can you do this order in the middle of next year when I'm slow, please? But that's just my rant for them, is that it's like when you turn the faucet on, they just flood you with work. And then for the next 9 months, they're silent.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, this is so dumb. So there's a lot of shops around here that just won't deal with them because of that. Like one of the local shops here in town, they just flat out won't accept work from them. So,
well, do you know who doesn't stress me out, at least for the most part? Our Patreons.
I don't have a witty comeback for that at the moment.
Our Patreons at any paid level get access to our Patreon Discord, which has, again, still been a super awesome community. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, it really is a great place. And I feel like there's some other plug that's supposed to go with that, but I don't remember what it was. If you can even sign up on the free tier on Patreon, so no monies, and get access to our weekly Q&A, or you can come do the Q&A in the community Discord, either way. Our Patreons include, but are not limited to, Jason at Leighton Machine, Millen Y, Devin C, Alex at Mill City Roasters, Christian O, Stephen M, Horse Pulverizer Incorporated, Daniel R, James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Strato Manufacturing, Austin W, Kyle at Curse Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, James N, Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S, Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zona Precision, Jason S, Joshua H, Christian Z, Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V, Alexander B, Scott Design the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bob Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson. Thank you for having an easy name, Jake Brownson. A couple Q&A questions this week. Josh at Leighton Machine. Do either of you look for work on DLA, Internet Bid Board System, DIBS? If so, are there any good resources that you can suggest on learning how to navigate the environment? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
That sounds like a government thing, and I got our cage code set up and lost momentum from there. So I don't know what that is. I'm going to put that in my notes to Google because that sounds like a great place to be.
It's also an awesome acronym, DIBS.
It is an awesome acronym. It makes me wonder if it is actually government because the acronym is too good. So sorry, Josh. I know nothing. Alexander B, for both. Plans for next year. Oh, we didn't talk about plans for next year. Thank you, Alex, for covering us. Plans for next year, and did you achieve all the plans you had this year?
Yes, and then some. I finished my 5-year plans in a year and a half.
Nice. I did not get a robot, which has been in my plan for a long time. But
I will say one thing I am proud of is the fact that we planned this shop out in SolidWorks, and laid out everything and have pretty much followed it to a T. And we have everything that we had initially planned on getting in the shop. We had a couple questions about, what would we do for what specific machine? We just had plans, 5-axis here, this type of machine here. We had a couple different machines we were thinking about doing. But all in all, our shop, if you were to go back to our original SolidWorks model for the shop, it's pretty much spot on. So
nice.
I'm pretty happy about that. Like, I haven't felt the need to change it, and it's felt like a really good layout.
In terms of my plans for this year, my big plan was making more money with less work, and I accomplished that. A robot has been in my plans, and I did not accomplish that. More due to priorities changing than anything else. I wanted to get the Aroa stuff set up. I need to look back at my video I made actually to figure out what all my goals were. But the big one of twice the income with half the work, I definitely hit. So that's good. Subtract was not really in the yearly plan, but it happened. I guess my plan for next year is I really want Subtract to grow a bunch. I would like to see it at least 2x, if not more. So I would like to get myself and Jacob and ideally Pablo all full-time just Subtract. I think that would be awesome for next year. And if we can do that, we have a great foundation to grow a lot more. I think Subtract has proven itself as a viable business model, and like our systems are viable. And now we just need to figure out how to sell stuff, because that's what we're still not good at. I'll throw a robot into the cards for next year still too.
Yeah. For us, addition, potential for second employee, and maybe a machine, maybe 2 if things go crazy. But I don't plan on getting more than 2 machines and an employee next year. We're planning on taking it a little slower.
I would feel much more comfortable with your business if you had a second employee. If for no other reason than employees leave, and Ben is great, but he also seems like one of those people that's interested in a lot of things, and those people are not notorious for staying at a job, for the next 25 years. So
I would say that, except he's been doing programming for like the same groups of people for like 10. So
fair. You know better than I do.
But he seems like the type that, like, once he likes something, he just kind of sticks with it.
At least that would be perfect.
From what I've seen, at least that's my impression of him. I don't see him as the type that is like going around and trying all the different flavors of ice cream just for the fun of it.
Mixing all of the drinks.
Yeah, he's once he finds something he likes, it seems like he just kind of is happy and content just to keep doing the same thing. So,
well, I mean, that would be good, but also he could get hit by a bus.
Yeah, no.
And there's you have mill redundancy, you have lathe redundancy. You don't really have Ben redundancy yet.
I mean, me and Weston, but that's not really what we want to do long term.
Yeah, but you guys, I don't think you would have enough capacity to maintain your current level at a not frantic pace if you lost Ben right now.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm sure you guys could do it. You've done it before. You'll do it again. But it would not be fun.
It would not be fun. No. Definitely would not be fun.
Some employee redundancy, I think, would be nice for you guys.
We're getting to the level where Weston is spending more and more time in the office doing administrative stuff. Yeah. And we actually had a little bit of a conversation about that. I asked him if he felt bad, like if he was okay being more in the office and less in the shop, and he didn't mind. He's like I enjoy. he enjoys the administrative stuff to some degree, which is a weird thing because I absolutely despise it. And so the more I can keep him up front, bidding jobs, ordering stuff, you know, answering emails, doing all the administrative stuff, then I need more help in the back for him to be able to do that. And then eventually, if the back gets to the point where it doesn't need me as much, I'll become more of a salesman, probably role long term, because I enjoy traveling around, meeting people, visiting with people, meeting their shops, going visiting their shops and all that kind of stuff. And Weston doesn't like dealing with customers, so I don't mind doing the public relations side of everything as much. So, but I enjoy doing the machine stuff too much to step away from it completely. So at least not for a while. That might change in the long run, but in the short term, I enjoy it too much. So,
from Jacob, how do you guys think about setting goals for both yourself and your shop, financially, skill wise, in terms of capabilities, etc., especially where time, cash, and people are limited?
Well, I'll start by saying that we always have a list of things that can be fixed with cash, and we have a priority on that list. And when the cash becomes available and everyone is in agreement, we just get it. So that's something that we've done basically since the forming of the company, and that kind of comes with that growth mindset of if there's a problem and cash is the quick answer to fix it, and we'll put it on the list, and when cash is available, we'll make that purchase. To give an example of that, second air compressor and mist collectors on all our machines. All our machines now have mist collectors. So those are not cheap purchases, but they're something that is kind of needed as we grow and have a direct impact on the quality of our workspace.
Yeah.
And the air compressor doesn't really, in fact, impact our quality, but if one air compressor goes down, the whole shop's not down.
Yeah.
So it was
insurance, basically.
That was insurance. So basically, as like we have a hit list, and higher priority items, regardless of cost, go first, and then as we kind of go down the line, we're always looking to buy our way out of problems. And that could be all sorts of stuff. Like we have a lot of send cut send solutions in our shop where, whenever we get some time, we'll design some stuff up in send cut send, place an order, and then improve the shop or 3D print.
But how do you set goals?
What's the difference between goals and vision? Because I feel like we have a vision, and that vision defines the goals on a daily basis.
And I feel like you took the words out of my mouth there. I'm not necessarily good at setting goals, and maybe I should be for people like Jacob. But yeah, I just kind of have an idea of where I want to be, and that changes at times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I probably should sit down at some point and work out these are the goals for Subtract for the next whatever. We've done that with some revenue goals, but
because we had a vision of we were going to have a 5-axis machine, we were going to have a robot, we were going to have a dual spindle lathe, but I didn't have a goal of in 2025 and this year I want to buy this, this, and this. It was, when does it make sense to buy this purchase? I've been looking out for the jobs, and so I had a vision of that stuff showing up, but I didn't have a timeline. Because I feel like a goal is when you put a timeline on a vision, and I just don't do that.
Or you chunk up your vision into more bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. So
is this something we're just doing poorly?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It might be one of those things that you can get away with when you're small, but needs to become more of a focus when you're larger. Like processes. When it's one dude in a shop, processes not super important. when you have a shop of 10 people, process is critical.
Yeah. Yeah, but you also have to have like, I feel like a vision is easier because there is no timeline associated with it, whereas a goal, it's the only way you fail a vision is if you stray for it. The way you fail a goal is that you don't meet it on the timeline that you wanted to meet it on, even though it might happen at a later date. And
I'm
so
trying to decide if my visions have timelines to them. And I
most
don't know, I guess not definitive, but I kind of have an idea of when I would like to get these things done.
yeah, you have an idea, but like I feel like if I said I'm going to buy a Swiss machine next year, I would try to force it. And I haven't tried to force anything with the growth of the company, but I've always tried to be prepared for when that opportunity arises. And I think that's the key. I think if you try to force something, because I think the thing that we forced the most was getting the ST15 back in the day because we felt like we needed it, but it was the least successful machine we've ever purchased, and it was because we tried to force it when we might not have been ready for it. Now, do I regret that looking back? No, it helped us grow. Like in the long run, it was a benefit. But if I look back at the exact time that we did it, it was a very poor use of resources, and it was forced just to give us lathe capabilities when it might not have been needed. Like I knew of lathe work out there, but I was unable to. I didn't have the relationships or the ability to get it, and I got the lathe without having a good relationship to justify it.
Hmm. I don't know. This is just something that I'm going to have to do some thinking on and do some, kind of work in to set or to see if to think about how important it is to set these goals. With a team, they're probably a lot more important than I've given them credit for.
Yeah, me and Weston have it's setting goals is definitely harder than creating a vision. I at least for me, because there is some goals that we need to set for Ben because he's going to start getting quarterly bonuses. And so we need
Mm.
to give him goals and objectives that we can base that bonus off of.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. That makes sense.
and so that's something we're going to have in our meeting on Wednesday when me and Weston do get together. Is that we do need to define goals or metrics for judging Ben that we can give him that he can work towards, and we need to create an incentive structure for those goals. So
Yeah. I have been working with like a score mentor for, I don't know, at least quite a few months. I think probably from the first month of Subtract. So like May ish. And kind of at the beginning, we had been largely focused on like finances. Like that's really kind of what I wanted to learn from him. And I just told him kind of on the last meeting we had is, okay, I'm kind of getting the hang of this finances thing, but I think I have some learning to do about leadership and management. So I'm scheduled to meet him a week from today. I'm going to bring this up. That'll be my topic for him.
mm-hmm. What about skill wise or capacity?
Um, I I don't think of goals in terms of skill wise basically at all for myself. I think that's more just because like when it comes to learning, my attitude is yes please. Like I'll just, you know, happily learn anything about anything at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not really something I need to set goals for myself in. Like I'm already learning as fast as I can. And maybe I can focus some of that learning a little bit. And like I just said, last year I was really focused on the financial side. Now I need to start focusing on the leadership side and sales. That's something else I really need to learn. But I guess I see those as steps towards the overall vision.
Yeah.
Like for Subtract to work, Subtract needs to make money. For Subtract to make money, someone needs to do sales. Who's doing sales? Oh no, it's me. So I need to figure out how to do that now.
Yeah. Financially has always been the easiest one for us, just with the profit first and how we've kind of planned. Our growth has what we plan to hit, we've never fallen short of. But we've grown more than a couple times. So we always look at what we think the minimum needed for our growth to continue, and we set that baseline, and we've almost always beaten it, at the very least met it. So financial, and this year will be interesting, because our growth has been so accelerated here recently that I don't know how much we want to try to do next year. And because I have what I think is the number I think we will do by the end of next year. And then I have the number that is a little bit more realistic if something goes sideways with one of our customers.
I would love to see you with like 50% revenue growth and like 4x plus profit growth.
Yeah.
Which I think is very doable. Like, if you hadn't spent money on new machines this year, would you have 4x profits?
I mean, yeah, just with down payments alone.
Yeah. So, like, I think you could very easily, like, just skyrocket your profits.
Yeah. Yeah. It does always feel, because, I mean, basically everything we have right now is on some sort of a payment plan.
Yeah.
And so we're spending a lot per month just on monthly payments for all this stuff that we have. Now, granted, if it's not like a major purchase, like a machine, like all the other support equipment around the shop is all paid for in cash. But like anything, over 10 to 20 grand has a finance on it. So has a payment on it of some kind, which the VF is now half paid down. So,
woohoo!
And it is the oldest note that we have right now. So we do have one machine in the shop that's paid off. And ironically, it's the one that makes the least amount of money. So
hey, it's a start.
It's a start. So, but I think once we get a couple of the mills paid off, that'll take a lot of pressure off. Because I mean, it's not a small amount of money that we're spending per month on payments. So that will definitely lower our overhead, because we have a high overhead. Is basically what that boils down to. We have a very high overhead.
Whereas I have basically nothing.
My overhead is probably more than you make.
Oh, almost, like, definitely. Like, very definitely.
So it's honestly, like, if you sit down and think about it, it is a little bit scary and nerve-wracking. But our growth has been incredible. And so we are getting to the point where I get a little bit nervous, and I would like to get a couple things paid off before we take on too much more. That's the other reason for the slowdown, is that build up some cash reserves, try to get a machine or two paid off, and kind of stabilize the foundation a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's growth phases and there's profit phases, and you've been through a bunch of growth phases. And so maybe it's time to shift a little bit into a profit phase.
Yep.
Build a good foundation where you can hit your next growth phase from.
Yeah. I think that's what needs to happen. But it's been a wild ride this last year. A ride that I did not think would happen. So, yeah. Been a lot of fun.
I have a goal that I forgot to mention.
Well,
so a plan for 2026. Yeah, that's the year.
Let's hear it.
I think
we haven't said goodbye yet.
Yeah, this is the year, I think, where I actually start to get in shape and lose a little bit of weight.
That's another goal that needs to happen over here too. But it's been hard. I tried hitting the gym a little bit right before we got crazy busy, and then that all went right out the window as soon as that one customer started slamming us with work. Like, I didn't go into work on Sunday, and my wife asked me if there was something wrong. So, like, because I wasn't working 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, And
dude, it's hard running a business, and
so
I've been doing some just kind of general reading and like watching some YouTube videos. And from what I understand, if the goal is just to lose weight, like it all comes down to diet. And like exercise obviously helps, but if you're just looking to lose weight, there's diet. And that's something that it does take extra time, but it's not an hour in the gym every day.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to lose weight, but I want to get in shape. Like I don't mind.
I need to do both.
I need to do both too, but like I've been in really good shape, and I've always been a heavier set guy, and I don't mind being in shape and being a little bit larger.
Same. I've been both. I mean, it wasn't, I don't remember what year it was. It was probably a long time ago now, but I've always been heavier. But, I was, back when I was like Army National Guard, I was scoring at some points almost 300 on my APFT. So that's basically maxing out the Army physical fitness test. I've ran half marathons. Like I've been in shape before, but I've never, ever been small.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, before I started this, when I was working at my old job, I went to the gym basically after work every day. And I was in really good shape. And now I'm not. now I am way out of shape. Probably the worst shape I've been in a very long time. And so, but when the shop life becomes your only life, it's hard to find time.
Yep. So I was thinking about giving a running update on the podcast as like accountability. I'm obviously not saying that you should do that, but as for my own personal, I don't know. I was thinking about it. So right now I'm at about 270.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to that as well.
A week or a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm around 280 right now. But when I was in like really good shape, I was about 220, 230.
That's kind of where I was, and 220 was my goal.
So like when I was like trimmed and really good shape, 220 is about where I landed. And that's when
I've been fit. I've never been trimmed.
Well, what is it? The trapezoid shape? That's when I was a trapezoid. Right
I've
now,
always been vaguely pear shaped.
now I'm a barrel.
I've gone from vaguely pear shaped to rather pear shaped.
So, no, I did. What did you do like as a kid? Did you do any like sports or anything?
In high school, I did a lot of taekwondo.
Okay.
Which I looked into doing again, but there's nowhere around here.
Okay. So like growing up as a kid, I was on a swim team for many years, and that apparently gives you really broad shoulders because my wife was also on a swim team and she also has really broad shoulders for a woman. And then I also did gymnastics and basketball, or the other two sports I did pretty heavily. And so that's and my youth, that's what kept me in shape, was those types of things.
Yeah.
But in fact, someone wants to dig up an old video. My old Facebook profile, there's some old gymnastics videos on there from when I was in high school. And there's one, what is the name of that move? I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. It's been so long. But I basically have, so Weston stands in front of me and I grab his foot with one of my hands, and then I lift him up on top of me and then I press him into full extension. And so that was back in high school. So there's a video of me and Weston doing gymnastics back then. And I can't remember the name of the move, but I was always like part of the base routine, like one of the bases in all the gymnastics stuff we did. It's a lot of fun back then. I miss it in a way.
I also did a lot of mountain biking. That was another thing I did a lot of, which you don't normally associate with Indiana, but we had quite a few trails around where I was.
I always grew up on 4-wheelers. I would have liked mountain biking, but there's not a lot in Arkansas, at least near me, as well. But 4-wheelers, that was something that we always grew up with. I grew up on a farm with a 4-wheeler, and that was always a lot of fun. Almost killed myself a couple times, but still here.
I've got nothing in this area, like nowhere where I can go do like Taekwondo again, no mountain biking, at least like not where I don't have to drive 45 minutes first.
There's a place called Little Sahara that's near us that I, as a kid, my family would always go to. They'd usually do it in the spring and the fall. We'd go out there with 4-wheelers. And it was like 5 square miles of sand.
That's cool.
And it was so much fun. We'd like to start doing that again, trying to get trips out there. Although the parents and their aging are probably going to all be on side by sides if we ever do that again. But stuff is just so much more expensive these days as well. That's the other problem. Like we took a grocery bill from like 2019 and compared it to today. Like we went back in like our Walmart app, and it was insane, the price difference.
Yeah. I bet with inflation, this wasn't actually my best year ever.
Yeah. No, like I looked at it like I am almost back up to what I was making as an engineer, but it still feels like I'm not for that much further ahead than when I started out. And I think it's purely because we started this right at the beginning of COVID, right before inflation went crazy. And as my income's been growing, inflation's been going just as crazy. So that makes it a lot harder.
Yep. All right. Well,
on that depressing note. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We kind of rambled and went all over the place on this one, but
as we do,
it wouldn't be a Taps and Patience podcast if it wasn't a mess.
Oh, I had a great idea that I need to tell you about after the podcast. It's in terms of the Patreon gift that I've been thinking about working on.
Well, on that cliffhanger, we'll catch up with you guys later. Taps and Patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and Patience, one of a kind. Like, subscribe, tell your friends and neighbors, and your mom again if she still isn't watching.
Bye.